Hey everyone, you're listening to Ankur Warikoo on Woice with Warikoo. On this podcast, I talk to you about entrepreneurship, how to grow in life, manage personal finances, handle failures, and a lot more things that just come to my mind. The episode begins. 39 things that I've learned about life while living life. Nothing pisses the world off more than you being comfortable with who you are. Nothing pisses the world off more than you being comfortable with who you are. This world thrives on people who have self doubt. You don't like yourself, we'll sell you cosmetics. You don't feel cool, we'll sell you cars. You don't feel rich, we'll sell you investments. We will keep selling you stuff because you feel inadequate. You feel like you don't have it enough. You feel that you have every reason to be spending your time, your energy in growing. You're not good enough the way you are. And if they see someone who's just comfortable with who they are, someone who's just absolutely at peace, they need not be achievers, they need not be the biggest people on earth, but they're just comfortable with who they are, that pisses the world off. Watching your kids grow up is actually heartbreaking. I don't know how many of you have kids, but for those who do, I think you'll agree with me. Because every day, they lose a bit of their innocence and they become just as corrupt as all of us are. And that's a precious life going away one day at a time, one day at a time. They're so innocent. They approach other kids with the innocence that only a kid can have. They engage themselves in the present, not worrying about yesterday, not worrying about tomorrow. They're just solely focused on their entertainment, their laughter, their sadness, their unhappiness, their hunger, their sleep. And it's amazing how much they are at peace with who they are. And yet every single day we know that that is going away and they're becoming an adult. And oh my God, we haven't done much being an adult. And that just breaks my heart. Money buys you freedom. Money buys you freedom more than anything else. And freedom, my friends, is a privilege. Money buys you freedom, and freedom is a privilege because when you have money, you have choices. You have the freedom to choose what you want to do. You have the freedom to spend your time the way that you want to spend it. You have the freedom to say no to things. And that is a privilege. When people think of money, they think of buying things, they think of spending it on stuff, but there's nothing more powerful than money gets you than your freedom. Listening to someone without judgment is the most precious gift that you can give someone. Listening to someone without judgment is the most precious gift you can give someone because most of us are always listening to respond. We're not listening to understand. We're not listening to empathize. We're just listening to respond. We're listening because we have an answer ready to give out. And we're constantly judging. We're judging people the way they're feeling, why they're feeling the way they're feeling, what is it that they're sharing with us. But if you can afford to listen to someone without judgment, they wouldn't ask for anything more than that. Risk and failure is a state of mind. If you really think about it, there are no measuring scales for risk and failure. There is nothing that quantifies them and says, oh, this is failure level 1, failure level 2, failure level 3. No, nothing like that. We create them. We create risk and failure in our own heads. And that means if we can create them, we can destroy them too. We are not naturally trained to love ourselves. And I believe that learning how to learn ourselves is this journey called life. This journey called life is the hardest one because all through this entire journey, we're just constantly hating ourselves. And I feel that the best journey that we can embark upon is the one where we naturally train ourselves to love ourselves. We can neither choose our parents, and nor can we choose what they end up doing to us psychologically. And that's why it's very important that you prepare to heal yourself if you have to. Your parents are also humans. They also screwed up because they were learning on the job. And it's quite likely they made some mistakes that they regret, or perhaps they don't, but you're suffering from. Be prepared to heal yourself if you have to. Do not have a plan and be okay with it. It's the best plan. To not have a plan and be okay with it is the best plan. And mind you, it will take everything in your capacity to get to that point where you're comfortable not having a plan and being okay with it. The world all around us is designed to make our lives comfortable. And avoiding this comfort trap is the difference between who you are and who you could have been. Every one of us is tricked into believing that the purpose of life is to make life comfortable. But those who get comfortable remain where they are. But those who take on that discomfort, who do not get comfortable, become someone that they know they could have become. No one, no one in the world owes you their time and their money, and you don't owe anyone either. Losing your temper is a sign that you still have a long way to go. If you lose your temper, if you rely on anger as a form of communication, is just a sign that you have a long way to go, my friend. If you're comfortable dancing in public without alcohol, without drugs, you are at peace with who you are. And that is one of the most precious gifts that you can give yourself. The world will always keep you in the news if you do the unexpected, because no one covers the expected. No one cares about the expected. The world will go on living the way that it is expected to, and that is not what becomes news. The only thing that becomes news is when you do something that's unexpected. Remember that about news. The easiest way to learn from mistakes is to read books. The next option is to commit these mistakes yourselves. Being in control of your time is being in control of your entire life. There is nothing else worth controlling than your own time. Do not try and remember anything. Write it down, keep a calendar, free your mind from tasks. Do not try and remember anything. Resisting the obvious is a great way for you to change your orbit. If you do what everyone else is doing, you will end up as everyone else, but only if you resist the obvious and try and take a path that everyone else would not have, do you set yourself up for a chance to change your orbit. It's a great way to do that. The world will constantly be defining success and failure for you. Realizing this is what is called self-awareness. When you know that you've been living someone else's life, someone else's definition of success and failure is when you become self-aware, is when you truly know yourself. The years during which you work the hardest with nothing to show will be the years that will actually build you. But ironically, those will also be the years when the world will not even notice you. They will not even acknowledge you. They wouldn't even know about you. And that's okay, because that's the journey you signed up for. Compounding is the biggest miracle of life. And when it happens, it leaves you dumbfounded. The world will always fear the person who doesn't fear anything. The world will always fear the person who doesn't fear anything. But it's scarier for the world to face someone who embraces fear, who not just says, I don't fear anything, but who loves fear coming in their life. That's something that the world cannot digest. Holding a grudge against someone requires a lot of effort. And think of all the wasted time that you would have spent being mad at someone. You're not responsible for anyone else's happiness. You are not, repeat after me, you are not responsible for anyone else's happiness. Because being responsible for yours is as it is tough. Please do not make someone else's happiness as your responsibility. Being grateful in life for what you have is precious. Complaining never got anyone to the solution. Complaining never got anyone to the solution. Working out teaches you discipline and patience like few other things do. You will outgrow relationships. You will outgrow relationships. And when you do, don't be ashamed to move on. The most dangerous people are those who run away from change. They're also the ones who suck the most energy out of you. Run away from them. Being good at something and being happy doing it are two very different things. Being good at something and being happy doing it are two very different things. People would much rather work for a competent asshole than an incompetent nice guy. And I'll say that again because it's hard to register. People would much rather work for a competent asshole than an incompetent nice guy because they know that they want to be learning about someone. And the competent asshole, as much as he or she would be an asshole, would at least be competent enough to teach them what they need to know to do. The purpose of school is not to teach you subjects and concepts. It is to teach you how to drop your ego and learn as a student. That's why life is also called a school. Don't ever fool yourself to believe that you deserve to be where you are in life. That's a lie. We're just plain lucky. We were just born into privilege. We were born into love and care and shelter, sitting on opportunities that people far smarter than us and far more hardworking than us will never get to see even for a second of their lives, and we take for granted. Spend time with people who are not like you. You don't want your world to create a bigger version of who you are, just telling you the same things that you already know, that you already believe in. You want it to create a better version of you. And that only happens when beliefs are challenged and debated, when you spend time with people who are not like you. Destiny is what happens to you. Life is how you choose to react to it. Would you be friends with your own self? Would you marry your own self? Would you want to be your own boss? What version of you would you much rather not be? Why are you still that version? True respect is when people know everything about you and still respect you. Because to get respect from a distance is rather easy. But that, in my opinion, is not respect. It's just infatuation. How you treat someone who has nothing to offer defines your value system. And your value systems are frankly not the things that help you grow, but in times of shit, they hold you together. Empathy cannot be taught. And I know this is a very unpopular opinion, but I genuinely believe that empathy cannot be taught. Either you have it or you don't. And if you don't, compensating it by intelligence doesn't help. The best thing to do is to remain an asshole. The hardest thing in the world is to tell yourself that it is not hard at all. The hardest thing in the world is to tell yourself that that's not hard at all. The hardest thing in the world is to tell yourself that it is not hard at all. You will get what you seek, not what you desire, not what you dream, what you seek. You will get what you seek. All the best. To be notified of upcoming episodes, be sure to subscribe and follow the show on this app right now. Also, don't forget to rate and review the show because that just feels nice. Thank you. If you like this podcast episode, then please remember to subscribe to the channel because every week you will be notified.